Hi, welcome back. This is Charlie. I am working on the next signature for the album that we're making called Brocante by Stamperia. And I want to thank Scrap and Create for sending me this gorgeous collection. I love antiques and I love to go into the shops and smell the oils and touch things. It's just a part of the past and I love it. So I'm happy to play with this. This signature is going to go on the inside here, inside panel. And I did want to show you that what I've done is on the front of this, I put a couple of the filigrees that I received with the collection from Scrap and Create. It came in this cute little envelope. And I know we've already done the front, but these can be added so easily. There are some big ones, but I thought they were a bit much, so I put on the little ones. But if you ordered the collection from them, then you would have gotten these beautiful little brass trinkets. So I'm going to play with another one of these on when we get to the inside of this one piece that I've played with. So I put these on with glossy accents. I clamped them down because sometimes these are just a little tiny tweaked and I want to make sure they're going to stick to the album. So that's why I did that. Now, this piece took me just a tad bit to figure it out. I kind of felt like I stepped out of my comfort zone because I knew in my mind what I wanted. It was just achieving an acceptable look. Now, this particular piece, this is on your left-hand side. So you're going to see this gorgeous amount of color, this old antique storefront, but this sits in the back. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but I watched a video with Stamperia that when they were filming and showcasing this collection, they were in this building. And I think it's Antonio pointed it out. He said, we're right in that building. So I felt that that had some significance, but I wanted to change sides because of what I was envisioning, what I wanted to do with this. So when I cut this, I did cut this straight down. There was a leafy green here that I ended up cutting off, but unfortunately it became necessary to achieve this. I'm using this little brass bird cage that came with the collection because there's a bird cage right there. I'm just going to sit that right, just like that. Now, what I had to do was when I fussy cut this out, I wanted this to look like it was sitting on a pebble stone walkway, sort of similar to what you see here. So this was as close as I could come up with when I used this base piece right here. Now, when I fussy cut around this, I had to cut these legs off. I had cut it square. Now, you can do that, cut it square, but I didn't, just my personal look, I didn't like it. So I followed this, the round base, which still kept a part of this arched base. I just cut off the leg extensions. So I fussy cut around this. And then the challenge, once I did, was to get it onto cardstock. What I had to do was cut my cardstock to the height of this and then put this on there. Excuse me, let me back up. Let me back up here. First off, this piece measures 8 5/8 in height, and it measures 9 3/4 across. So when this piece goes in this album, as I told you before, I was going to put some that chocolate brown cardstock down on the two inside panels because I want it to really give some contrast. I had chose this light beige, and I need to help kind of break it up a little bit. It ended up being too light for my taste. So you can use whatever colors you want, but for me to get some color back into the album, I'm using this chocolate brown. So this piece measures to this cardstock, and I just did about 1/8 of an inch on the cardstock all the way around, making sure that I stayed about 1/8 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch off this hinge. Okay, so now we're working with this piece. So I had to cut a piece of cardstock that went the height of this and just about the width. I came over to about here, and then I tacked this down, and then I very carefully cut around this. The next challenge came in backing it. So I got out a piece that I liked, and what I did was I sat this on the paper, did a trace, and then I cut about 1/8 of an inch inside that trace. I cut this piece out, and I came pretty close. There's some spots that I could trim off here and a little bit like down here, but I'll worry about that when I get there because I got to be careful about trimming this here. So this will go down. So this was the piece I picked. Antique stores are all about the items that you find, so I wanted a little bit of history. I'm using one in the cutouts, postcards, that the best things in life are old, loved, and rescued. So that's going to sit right here. I'm going to do a short tuck. So that will be this side of the album on the left side. On the right side, like I stated, I used this piece that originally was on the left side. I've moved it to the right. And what it does is it gives the effect on this angle with this cut and this being popped up a little bit because of the cardstock. This really looks like it's sitting on across the street. So then I took from my scraps a piece. Again, it's kind of showcasing what you might find in an antique store. I lined that. And then from my scraps, I am cutting a long pocket to go over here on this side. Now there will be a magnet closure, but the magnet is going to have to go on the back side of this because this piece here is too short. The magnet actually ends up sitting right about here. So we're going to put the magnet on the back side and then put this together. So if you want to, if you got it all, the video paused and this is going to be your challenge. Now, having said that, you don't have to do this. You can take and just cut square if you want. When you cut this and you trim this, you're going to leave a 1/2 inch score line, and then you're going to do another 5/8 score line so that you can create a small gusset so that there is room in there to take on any of the photos, the height of the photos that you're going to put here. So if you want to cut a piece that's the length of or the height of this piece, you can do that and then just cut this square across. But I would encourage you to maybe flip this or redesign it whatever way you want to see it. It's entirely up to you. I like trying to create different things with some of the elements within paper, so I challenge myself to do things like this. So I'm going to go ahead and get it put together, and I'm going to start with this piece here. I'm going to glue this on, and then we're going to get it taped down. Need to make sure I'm got the tape, because I've already got it pre-taped. Need to make sure I had it on the right side. Now I've also inked everything. I wanted to bring out a rich color, so I'm using a vintage photo from the Distress line, Tim Holtz's Distress ink line. And it gives it a nice rich edging to the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and get this side down because I need to seat the magnet to the back side. So I want to pull my other magnet off. I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. It's kind of an awkward shape, but I tape things when there's a magnet involved, so it'll be kind of a awkward taping situation going on here. You'll see. Okay, and I'm going to put one down the middle. I'm going to pull this piece back and then run a strip of tape right across there. Okay. Now I don't know what I did with it. Oh, that's right in front of my face. What a silly girl. Now, when I put this down here, I'm going to play with it just a little bit because it is at such awkward angles. Trim some of this here. All right, I'm going to put my finger up here on this corner, and then I'm going to kind of adjust things. Ah, that went down a lot smoother than my practice run did. Kind of pleased with that. I'm going to get this tape off the bottom. Okay. All right. Oh, I didn't just do that. Oh my gosh. I did too. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a silly girl. I have a little bit of a tear there, but I don't think it'll be overly noticeable. All right, now I'm going to do my best to center this because it's going to come up here a little bit and just off the top. And then I'm going to push it in here. Hope I don't have to take this off because I just adjusted it. This is what happens when you try to get creative. Oh no, it's good, 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 good. I'm so happy. Now I'm going to push back on this hinge because I really want it to remember its place. And then I'm going to turn this over and let that magnet find its friend. All right, now I can attach these pieces. Let's put the lid back on this. Now, this piece, because this is what I'm playing into, I ended up trimming this down to 3.5 inches. And this piece is at 4 1/4 with a 1/2 inch score line and a 5/8 of an inch score line. And it is 8 5/8. So it's always going to be the height of this. That out of the way. And I'm going to focus on my right hand side, or my left hand side, because then it should line right up to the score line on my left. And now I'm going to add this piece in. These will be great pieces for just adding some smaller photos to. Pay attention to that score line that I've got sitting there, and this should drop. I want to pick it up and move it over a little bit. There we go. Now this is easy to line up. So I'm always going to, on these 5/8 of an inch gussets that I create, I always bring my base piece up to the 1/2 inch score line, because then the gusset stands up the way it's supposed to. Now I'm going to push back on this. And then I'm going to add this over here on this side, just so that there's a bit of a tuck, leaving still some room for a photo. So I'm going to put this down here in this corner. And you have a nice little tuck. And then when you open this up, you have your pocket right there. This closes with the snap. And then we are going to add the bird cage. This is pretty. I like that. It's adorable, but I want some brass element on the front of this. So I'm going to use this bird cage that Julie sent me from Scrap and Create. And I'm going to set that right there. And now I'm going to cover the back with my tape and get ready to put this in the album. And I'm using 1/2 inch tape. I usually use a 5/8. but I have not broken into that roll yet, so I'm just finishing what's left of my 1/2-inch roll. But I want good coverage when I put this in the album, so I use a 1/2 inch or 5/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to take a couple of strips of the 3/8. Now I'm going to use that chocolate brown throughout to help give some different dimension and color, just so that you know if in the event you are wondering what I'm going to be doing. I like the contrast that it provides. So now I'm just going to set this in here. I do like the contrast that I get when I bring in different colors. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm pushing back on this gusset. I made the mistake of cutting that piece with a 65-pound cardstock, so it does not keep its sturdiness to my liking. So I'm going to pull back on it a little bit because I want to see this brown. And then I'll put the tape down. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this edge. I'm going to pull back on it, just make sure that it's standing straight because I don't want a wimpy gusset. Okay, always misplacing my bone folder. So see, then when you open this up, you get to see that beautiful rich brown in behind there, and it helps to break up the cream color that I chose to use. There's some other colors in this palette that you could use, but for my eye, I didn't want this bright blue. I didn't want pinks. I wanted the richness of the browns to really stand out, and so that's why I am using this in the manner in which I'm doing, just so you kind of understand what I've got here. But there you go. That is your inside panel signature, and I'm hoping it wasn't too difficult. If you chose to just cut straight across, that was perfectly acceptable. So I will see you next time when we're going to play here.